know how to dance to it.
Oh no, it's not live. They're going to do it after. Yeah.
Slide to the left.
Yeah.
No.
Slide to the right.
Okay. No.
Crisscross.
Okay. Sorry, guys. Everything's good.
Okay. We were doing
With
the
my
electric
old
slide.
age.
I don't know.
No, that's
Okay.
the cha-cha slide, right?
The Cupid Shuffle.
The Cupid Shuffle.
Cuban.
We're doing the Macarena.
Cuban Shuffle.
The Cuban
We're doing the
shuffle.
We're doing the Cotton Eye Joe.
I love the Cupid shuffle.
It is called the Cupid Shuffle, isn't it?
It's the Cuban shuffle,
Oh.
right?
It's definitely not the Cuban Shuffle.
Is
Oh my
Hit
god,
it
no.
the Cuban shuffle?
Cupid Shuffle.
This is a question. Videos? Cupid shuffle. God damn it. And but then Cuban shuffle is right under it.
There is a Cuban Shuffle?
There's the Cuban shuffle. The Cuban shuffle.
Oh my god, there
no.
is a Cuban Shuffle.
I've been lied to. Okay.
I don't think
You're
it's
wrong.
the right song though. I'm just
Yeah,
putting
so
it
you've just been doing the wrong dance.
out. Slide izquierda. Slide derecha.
I'm Alex,
And I'm Teddy.
And I'm Spencer.
and we are
The Button Mappers.
Hey, the Button Mappers.
Welcome to the Button Mappers. It's me, Skeletor. I can't do a Skeletor. I was gonna do Skeletor. Welcome
It's
back.
great that-
It's
It's great that you chose to start this whole thing by doing a voice you had no idea if you could do. And then you failed.
Yeah. I don't like to feel good. I like to feel evil.
Welcome back to the Button Mappers. It's a game talk for Alex month, a month all about me. Who? Me.
Hey.
Me. We have special guest, Spencer. Just kidding.
Hey,
Spencer's
how's it
over
going,
here.
guys? It's a pleasure to be here.
Forget
Nice
about
month
Spencer.
off.
We have special guest. It's Derek, the Completionist. What's up, man?
Not too much, my friend. OG Completionist, just the original, not to be mixed up with the popular guy.
Yeah, not Gerard.
Yeah.
Although we should have you on here. We should have both of you on here. You could do like a rat battle or something.
My
Yeah,
vote goes
awesome.
to Derek.
Not going to dignify that with an answer.
Teddy's also here.
I'm here.
Yeah, I can't rap. I'm a blue collar white boy, so
Ah,
can't
come
rap.
on.
Okay, question. If you had to write a rap, would you complete it?
every rap has a beginning and beginning, middle, and an end. So I guess I would assume every rap is a completed rap.
Okay. Yes?
It's got you there. Can't argue with that.
I'm going to presume you mean yes. Then, okay.
Yeah, that's just logic that just went whew, just right over your head.
Yeah. Yeah. Raps are completed. Got it. Thanks, Derek. I learned something today.
No,
What's up,
that's
guys?
all right.
We're back from our month break. Totally haven't recorded any other videos before now.
What map out?
We didn't record a map out. That's not what that's called. Anyway, so welcome to Alex Month, where I get to control everything that we're doing. And I will
Run
announce. You know what? I feel like
Run
announcing
for your
announcements-
lives!
Oh god. For Alex Month, I'm not going to say what they are, but we have after this game talk, we're going to have 3 map outs, even though one of them's kind of different than our normal map outs. So, get ready for that. Nothing but the good stuff during Alex Month. Spencer agrees. Shake your head, Spencer. There we go. Spencer just does what I tell him to during Alex Month.
Yeah, we had an agreement. I am Alex's slave for the month.
Yeah. Everything you hear,
Yeah.
even what he's saying right now, has been scripted by me.
Do you have it in writing?
Unfortunately, yes, it was the worst contract signing I ever participated in.
Alex is updating the live chat as we speak.
Yeah, we met in Georgia on like a crossroads.
Yeah.
We had a showdown with fiddles.
He laminated that contract, didn't he? So you can't rip it in half.
Yeah, I've tried. I've tried many times. It does not
Good
tear,
luck.
I promise you.
But-
Damn it.
Anyway, let's get on with our questions for Game Talk. I will go through them in no particular order.
Well, but Alex,
What?
just a quick question.
What?
I know it's been a month, but if you were, say, looking to find us somewhere,
Oh shit! I didn't do plugs. Look, I'm not used to hosting.
Alex month is going great so far.
Yeah, it's great. It's wonderful. I'll get into the swing of it. Okay, Teddy, where can they find us?
Wow, it's a great thing that you asked. If viewers are looking to locate our personal domain, they may find us in the Discord or Apple Podcasts and Spotify, which is a locatable location.
And if you're listening to us on YouTube, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. It'll make Alex very, very happy.
that's
And he
what we
won't.
want.
And he won't eat you.
And he won't eat me.
And he
That's
won't-
in the contract.
Well. Okay, I don't know.
I mean,
He might
fried
not eat me.
Spencer sounds pretty delicious.
The chances of me being eaten will drastically
true.
go down,
Look,
but not be
my-
eliminated.
True story. Last night I had I had duck.
Human?
No, I had duck. So my tastes are evolving. That's all I'm saying.
Started out as an egg. Which came first, the egg or the duck? Guess it
What
was
came
the
first,
duck.
the egg or Alex eating humans?
Is this a sci-fi?
It's only one answer.
Speaking of eating humans, let's eat these questions, guys.
Hey,
First
Okay.
up, we have a question from Majority.
hey,
Do we know him?
yeah,
Woo.
pretty rad.
Chillest of the chill.
If you if you were to go to Japan, what would you be most excited to experience?
Alex, why don't you do the honors?
Okay. For me, this relates back to what I just said a minute ago. It's probably the food, honestly. I love food. That's my biggest highlight of anywhere I go is getting to eat new and exciting foods. So, I would be stuffing my face the entire time.
Any particular Japanese food?
What are they? I forgot what they're called. I know what they are though. It's the fried octopus balls.
Oh God, what the hell is that?
Takoyaki.
Yeah,
or
that's it, takoyaki.
Yeah. I really want to try that. I live in Kentucky, so there's no way in hell I'm finding that nearby. So it's on my list.
My answer seems like it's a cop out, but I would like to go to their video game shops because I'm sure they would have a lot of like Dragon Quest stuff and Final Fantasy, all that stuff that they have over there that I like, and it would be really fun to just see, even just like the toys and whatnot. It would be fun to see. I don't know if I'd buy a lot, but certainly with Dragon Quest, I'm sure there's tons of just cool shit that they get out there that we don't. It'd be fun to see all that in its native habitat.
Would you be doing like a Spencer thrift video or something? Like, you guys can't believe what I found today.
No, I feel so horribly awkward doing that in public. It's funny. I actually tried to do one a while ago, where you guys were doing like a $20 challenge or something, or some kind
Yeah.
of money thing for one of those, and I did go into one, and I literally couldn't even work up the courage to take out my phone and even take a selfie in there. So I just bought the game and left.
Spencer's just ashamed.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, I couldn't do it in Japan. They would point at me and say Godzilla or something.
You'd be a national hero.
Funny thing with
I'm done. No, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, with regards to that question, the funny thing is that Japan is a bucket list item that, my wife and I would eventually like to visit. And, even though with my wife being a big fan of video games and anime, I think the biggest thing that, that we look forward to going to Japan is just more of just the cultural experience itself. And it beckons back to what you said, Alex. A big thing would actually be the food. We actually want to go to an old school, old fashioned, ramen noodle house where they actually like cook the broth and like let it simmer for like over 24 hours and that kind of thing. And it's just, anytime we visit any kind of place, we want to take in as much of the history as possible. So, we go to a lot of museums, a lot of cultural landmarks. With my wife and I being a big fan of cats, there's a shrine in Japan that's totally dedicated to cats, the cat shrine, as they call it, or something along those lines. I guess it's somewhere where the original Michiri Neko or like the Neko cat is buried too. So that would be one of the places that we'd like to go to.
Mm-mm-mm. Do you mean Moneki Neko, like the white one with the paw that
Yeah.
goes like this? Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
cool. I'm a little disappointed nobody said Maid Cafe, but I or like Bunny Girl or something. Well, anyways, whatever. I want to go to onsen. Onsen is a hot springs.
Ooh.
It'd be pretty dope. And then also, I'm sure there's some pretty good like just mountain ranges and like trails. I just really like kind of like the outdoors aesthetic. And I know about the shrines. I kind of think back to like that Shigeru Miyamoto video where he's talking about Star Fox Zero and he's like going like through the shrines. And he said that was like pivotal for him. So I'd like to just be able to walk through them and like, kind of like feel the Miyamoto vibe and the shrines and just kind of like the spiritual nature of it.
I would also like to feel Miyamoto.
I would like to get felt up by Miyamoto.
Derek. Never mind.
I know. I know exactly what you guys are saying. Derek, what in the hell did you just walk into? Guys, I've worked in the construction industry for 15 years. I've heard worse. I've heard stuff 100 times worse, so don't worry about it.
But have you heard better? Sorry, I'll stop.
Not very often. Listen, when you're working around a bunch of guys that aren't around their girlfriends and wives for like weeks at a time, they make their own amusement, often of the most absurd and most disgusting kind. So I've heard it all.
Mm-hmm.
I want Miyamoto to work me like a sock puppet.
A crusted
good
sock
question.
puppet.
That's a good question, Majority. Thanks for the question.
If I go to Japan, I want Miyamoto to finger my asshole.
He has to have like old wrinkly hands at this point too.
Yeah, it'd be coarse and it'd be painful.
Yeah. Next up, we have a question from Bio Phoenix. He asked, Q, what is a Japanese game you wish got translated into English? And then it says, and just to challenge Alex, it can't be Suda51 related. All right. Sure. Let's go first.
I have one on the shelf that I've never started, but it's always looked kind of interesting to me. I got it when I was in the days of DS collecting. It's a Square Enix title. It's called Blood of Bahamut. I think it gives me like Final Fantasy vibes. Maybe it got a patch at some point. Like maybe there's like homebrew teams, but it's never gotten an official English release. Could be cool. Just saying.
For me, there's actually quite a few, even though it's not fair to really pick an 8-bit or 16-bit game, since just about every Japanese exclusive you can think of has already been fan translated. So, some of the Japanese games I would love to see get a North American release. I'm a big fan of Vanillaware, the guys that do, Odin Spear and Muramasa the Demon Blade. They were so close of getting a North American release for one of their games. I think it was called Grand Knight's History. And it was so close to getting a North American release, and it didn't happen. And the final Suikoden game to be made by Konami, there's a Suikoden game for the PSP that's never had a North American release. Those are probably two of the biggest ones that come to mind. I'm an avid, Dance Dance Revolution player, so the Japanese mixes always outshine the North American mixes. So like I would love to see a lot of those, end up having. They have their own North American release, but not with their Japanese song list. So I'd love to see those come over. So I don't have to use a modded PS2 to actually play them, or anything along those lines. But those are usually the first couple of games I think of.
Yeah, I mean especially if you do ROMs or ISOs, most games that you want to be ported over in a way have been like fan translated. So
Okay.
it's pretty easy to get your hands on any of those if you wanted. But if I just rule that out and just like say any like legit releases, it would probably be Dragon Quest X.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. And my answer, I can think of a few different games, but one of the ones that I've always wanted to be translated and brought over in some format is an Ape Escape title called Ape Escape Million Monkeys. It was for PlayStation 2 and came at the tail end of the PS2 life cycle. We never got it, mainly because of scheduling conflicts with the other Ape Escape games that came out on PS2. I believe 3 was releasing when Million Monkeys was over there, so they just never bothered to bring it over here. And as a kid, I always saw YouTube videos of that game, and I was like, yo, what the hell? So
There is one game I just remembered I would love to see an American translation for it to be brought over. I'm going back to the Dreamcast, and it's a game that I think is a really great idea. It's just a crying shame it didn't come over. But if you're familiar with Pokemon Snap, what somebody did is somebody took the card captor anime, and they turned it into kind of like a Pokemon Snap style game, that you're the character Tomoyo with her camera, and that you got to shoot the camera as Sakura is trying to capture certain cloud cards and that kind of thing. And when I first heard about that game, I thought it was such a great idea, but unfortunately, Cardcaptor Sakura was still an obscure anime at the time, so it's understandably why it didn't get released on the Dreamcast. And I feel bad for taking over this question a bit, guys. But another game series, I love when people take animes and turn them into RPG series, because one big anime series, especially in the '90s, that we never ever had a that we never had a North American release for was Slayers. The Slayers Royal RPG games for the PlayStation 1. They never had a North American release, and I grew up watching Slayers and Slayers Next and Slayers Try, and I always thought that game series would have made a great RPG series, and I'm glad that the Japanese had that opportunity to play that RPG series, but unfortunately it never made its way to North America. All right, that's it. I'm done. No other suggestions.
You're talking about metal punk band Slayers?
No, the anime Slayers.
Okay, I don't know that one.
Oh, it's actually pretty good, pretty hilarious. I find it funny. So
it's a good question, Bio. Thank you. And if I wanted to break Bio's rule, I would say Michigan Report from Hell, but I can't do anything Suda related, so my bad. We have a question from VG Mashup. He actually has two questions because he's the question master. Will he be dethroned this year? We don't know. We don't even know if we're doing one this year, but we'll see.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Just the remaining reigning question master.
I just wanted to raise the tension. I do want to note that he did not like my New Year's resolution. He said, please, no New Year's resolution from Alex. I think it's where I said that this year we're going to be lovers. He didn't like that. Question number one. Question number one. And this is geared towards me. I take it for Alex month, but everybody can answer if you want to. It says, if only one franchise could survive moving forward, would you choose Sonic or No More Heroes? That's definitely geared towards me. So I guess I will answer. Sonic, because No More Heroes, I think Suda 51 doesn't really do sequels and franchises per se with his titles, and No More Heroes was like the exception. But even with that, I feel like I don't want that franchise to be run into the ground. I feel like he he has specific ideas that he wants to present, and I would not want No More Heroes just to turn into another yearly release. So Sonic for sure. They can milk Sonic dry. I don't care. Do you guys want to answer this, or you want to move on?
I'll just give my quick impression. I played a few Sonic games. Just because of my work schedule, I haven't played a No More Heroes game, even though I've watched plenty of gameplay from it. I think, like, there's only so much you can really do, with having a beam saber and all that good stuff. It's just like I feel like the Sonic series in itself, Sonic is one of those series that's quite an enigma because it just has just as many good games as it has bad games, and I kind of think that if the development team really wants to, if they really put their mind to it, if they really put their hearts to it, they can actually make a really good Sonic game, and that can actually happen. It's and it's just that I forget the name, so pardon, but Majora, what was the Sonic game that I used to see you stream much, where they used like fan levels, and it was just this beautiful 2D game that just went crazy all over the place, had this amazing soundtrack.
Mania?
I know I recently yeah, Sonic Mania or something.
Wasn't it Sonic
And-
06?
No.
But it's just like that was a pure passion project, and it ended up being like a really enjoyable experience. So I think if they can put a good development team behind it, I think they can keep churning out really good Sonic games. But I kind of feel like No More Heroes is there's only so much you can do with that series, and you really don't want to be doing a release for it every year. Maybe every 5 or 6 years that you can make the experience fresh again. But I don't think people will ever grow tired of Sonic just because I think the fandom's too strong. So personally, I would rather take Sonic more than No More Heroes. So,
Derek, I have to give you so much applause for that answer you just gave, because
what?
you picked Sonic and then spent the entire time basically trashing Sonic about how terrible it is. You're just like, I think they should do Sonic, because hopefully, if they really put their minds to it, they could make a good Sonic game.
Well, you tell me a game series that has just as many good games as it does bad games. Equal.
Oh, I think you're giving high praise to Sonic for saying that. I'm not a Sonic fan. I think
Yeah,
most of them are bad games.
Does not enjoy Sonic.
But Mario, maybe? I don't know.
Pokemon.
I would say my answer will be Sonic as well, for the reasons Derek laid out. Hoping for that good one.
I can't comment on No More Heroes yet. But I like Sonic. But the thing is, like, the only Sonic game I've been excited to buy in like the last 10 years was Sonic Mania. I think outside of that, it's very hard for me to get on board with some of the things. Like, I think at this point, they did the 2D collection again, and I feel like I know they added Sonic 3 for the first time in a while, but at this point I found my ways to play it. And then for as cool as like something like Sonic Colors is, I just don't know if I'm as excited about it as maybe others might be. I'm not as impressed by 3D Sonic. So
yeah.
It's tough for me.
Yeah, I'm a 2D Sonic fan for life. It's I guess the funny thing is that regardless of how people feel about it or not, but I feel like Sonic has the perfect time to actually have a really good resurgence, because its first movie was actually really enjoyable. I found it one of the better video game movies. I don't care what anyone says. I actually really enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. And it's just, then you had the success of Sonic Mania, and now you get this sequel that a lot of people are really super excited for, and it's just that, so to the video game development team, guys, like, take this momentum while Sonic is still in good graces. Like, ignore the hardcore, fetish fans of like Sonic, and just ride this really good popularity wave and use that motivation to keep churning out good games. Even though, yes, I am a big 2D Sonic fan, and personally, I think Sonic is at its best when it's 2D. If you really want to put some money and some time, yes, you can make a good Sonic 3D game. Sonic Colors, and the, ends up being a good one. Sonic Generations, which incorporates both styles, but it's just like ride this popularity wave while people are still holding Sonic in good graces, because I was actually very surprised at how good the first Sonic movie actually turned out to be.
Well, not only did they just announce the Knuckles show, that's true, that's coming to Paramount Plus apparently, but they're also, they've been working on Sonic Frontiers for a while, which is unusual because Sega is known to push shit out the door a lot, just because it's they're like, it's money and we need to get the game out, and it's not ready. They've been taking their times with Frontiers, and Frontiers is going to be an open world Sonic experience, and sounds like it's going to be completely different than any of the other 3D games they've done. So there's a chance it could turn out good, or it could just be another 06. We don't know yet, but there's a chance, especially when they're taking their time with it. There's a chance it could turn out, decent. He has another question from VG Mashup, because he has two questions. This one's a good one, I think. Would you rather want a Sega Saturn Mini or a Sega Dreamcast Mini?
Oh, that's almost like picking your perfect, your favorite child.
I'll go first on this one too, because I actually read this one a while back, and I was already thinking about this question. As much as I love and collect Saturn, I think just because I want the product to do well and the company to do well, I would pick the Dreamcast. I think the Dreamcast has a better lineup of first-party and third-party games for a mini console. Of course, you would have Sonic Adventure, you would have the Crazy Taxi games, you would have Space Channel 5, Jet Set Radio, Skies of Arcadia, Samba de Amigo, Virtua Fighter 3, and then you would have a lot of other third-party games that can come into the fray, with the Marvel versus Capcom. No, Madden wasn't on Dreamcast. It was they had their own Sega Sports thing, but Marvel versus Capcom. The whole fighting game scene was huge on the Dreamcast for sure. And wasn't there another RPG that was big that came from the Dreamcast? No, not big, but like successful. Was it
Evolution?
Grandia 2.
Grandia.
Grandia 2 was on the Dreamcast.
That's the one I was thinking. It was Grandia 2 would be another one. So with that and Skies of Arcadia, you have two pretty decent RPGs on the console as well. I think the Dreamcast would be the better pick. I think they would make more money off of doing that. Plus, with the 4-controller port thing, you can have some multiplayer games as well.
I'm ready to jump in on this one. I definitely respect that the Dreamcast has more of kind of a party lineup and more of a name brand kind of lineup. I think that in terms of the value it would add to the industry as a whole, the Saturn Mini would do more favors in its potential. First off, the number of American releases compared to Japanese of Sega Saturn games is like infinitesimal. It's like 10% of the whole library. There's so much room for localization efforts. And also kind of like bringing access to a lot of games that have been trapped in this era and have become massively overpriced. I know when I got my Genesis Mini, part of the appeal for me was getting one of the foreign brands because they had access to titles that weren't available on the North American version. I don't remember exactly what it was at this point, but I do know that games like Darius or Castlevania Bloodlines or what's another one of them? What's it, Musha?
For hardcore?
Yeah, kind of like hardcore titles, but also kind of like those like super games that have a huge reputation online, but are very hard to get a hold of. Also, Saturn emulation has a reputation of being like not great. And so I think that to have a Saturn Mini, you'd be able to kind of bypass a lot of these barriers into getting into the Saturn. Plus, even if I'm just looking at a controller perspective, I tend to prefer the Saturn controller to the Dreamcast controller. So yeah, I stand on the Saturn. I'm standing on a Saturn.
Yeah.
Go the Saturn.
Yeah. the way I look at it is that both systems have their strong points because when it comes to the Sega Saturn, Majority brings up a really great point. The Sega Saturn doesn't have the same brand power as what the Sega Dreamcast does, but it gives Sega itself a perfect opportunity to, in a cost-efficient way, to expose a North American audience or even a Japanese audience to games that aren't so readily available. Because the fact is that as North American Saturn owners, is that we missed out on a lot, and we missed out on a lot of great things. And if it's one thing that the Sega Saturn is known for, is they knew how to do 2D right. They fleshed out 2D so much. They made the sound quality so much superior. They made the visual quality of a lot of these 2D games so much superior than what the PlayStation 1 ever did. And it's just like a lot of these 2D games, even the ones that were lucky enough to come to North America, when you look at them, they're so incredibly beautiful because the Sega Saturn version of Mega Man X4 sounds better and looks better than the PlayStation 1 version of like Mega Man X4. But on the other side, one of the biggest things that makes the Dreamcast so great is that it does have that brand recognition. And the one thing that the Dreamcast did have going for it, unlike the systems that it was competing against, like the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox, is that the Sega Dreamcast literally offered perfect arcade ports of especially a lot of their fighters. You had Street Fighter 3 Double Impact, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, you had Project Justice, you had both Marvel vs. Capcom games, you had Capcom vs. SNK, you had the Power Stone series. And it's just that I think from a financial point of view, if you want your system to sell, the Dreamcast would be the best way to go. But if you really want to give gamers a bone, if you really want to increase your brand recognition, you have an entire library of Japanese Sega Saturn titles that were never translated, that were never brought to North America. Like, it would be a huge thank you. It would be a huge thumbs up to so many North American gamers for them to have access to these games that they don't have to pay the absurd prices to actually buy them online. And it's like it's like I've heard on this podcast just recently, the Sega Saturn has a reputation of being incredibly hard to emulate for properly, just because it was such a superior system for its time. So even from a financial point of view, I think the Dreamcast is the right choice if you want to play it safe, if you want to make a profit. But I think my heart's got to go out to the Sega Saturn because the games that were released during the Sega Saturn and PlayStation 1, that is my favorite gaming generation. And there's just so many great Sega Saturn games that really deserve a North American release. And if it's through an emulation system or, like a Sega Saturn Mini, I think it'd be giving gaming fans a much needed thumbs up that they actually need put in their direction.
Spencer's just nodding his head.
Yeah. I say get the Dreamcast. Get Madden on there. I think you're gonna have a good time.
Thanks.
How are you gonna follow up like Derek's essay with
Derek
Madden?
won me over. You know what? I changed mine to Saturn because I wanna play Burning Rangers. Even though I have it in Japanese, I want to play it and know what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
I like the biggest, like, even though, a lot of these games do have fan translations, and I think there's a company out there that actually makes physical copies of like Japanese Saturn games and puts them in English, but unfortunately they're very limited supply, they're very hard to get, and they take a lot of hard work. Like the biggest thing I said before, I'm a huge Vanillaware fan, and before Odin Sphere got released, they had a game called Princess Crown for the Sega Saturn that never had a North American release, and that's pretty much the precursor to Odin Sphere, and that's a Japanese Saturn game I would love to play myself.
Well, and not only that, a lot of times for collectors of Saturn like myself, the North American option is outpriced. Getting a copy of the North American version of Burning Rangers would cost me hundreds of dollars.
Mhm.
I have the Japanese version, but that's at the cost of translation of not being able to read the text in the game and the dialogue and stuff. So even at that, it would some of those more expensive North American games could also be brought over, like certain Panzer Dragoon Saga maybe. So. Change my answer to Saturn. Thank you, VG Matchup. Those are some good questions. Next up, lastly, we have Terry309. He asks, what game released on PS2 haven't you played that you want to play?
Too many.
If you had to pick one.
Probably the biggest one I would probably want to play that I haven't played yet. I watched my wife play it. I haven't played it myself, and that's Star Ocean till the end of time. Or, as a lot of people like to say, the game that ruined the series. But when I watched my wife play it, it looked really enjoyable, and it's got like a lot of great boss fights. There's boss fights that can last 10 to 15 minutes long, and bosses and enemies have millions of HP, and you're dealing 5-digit damage, like 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 per hit, and some bosses got 50, 60, 70 million HP, and it just looks like a lot of fun.
Hey, how long did it take getting of you watching her play that game for it to look fun?
To be honest, when she first got it and she first played it, it looked fun within the first 5 hours.
First 5, okay, because I put it in for 30 minutes, and the opening cinematics, I remember being pretty impressive. I think Star Ocean tends to be, but then the actual gameplay once it started, I was just lost. I was like, what am I doing? 5 hours, though? Okay, that's a good benchmark.
Mine is very fortunate. I will say Dark Cloud 2. Which I have it queued up, ready to go. I just need an excuse to play it, and I would like to obviously play Dark Cloud 1 first, but that's it. I'm down to play it whenever.
Mine is Drakengard 2, and I haven't played it because I don't have a copy because it's pretty pricey. So, Square, please re-release those games.
For you, Terry, I'll say Valkyrie Profile 2. Why not?
Oh, he'll love that answer.
Aww. Aw, group hug. Give Terry a hug.
Wait, isn't that one that you want to play?
I take it back. I'm picking Persona 3.
I take it back. I'm picking Star Wars Super Bombad Racing.
Just going back to that question a bit, even though you guys are well aware of my last video, that's another PS2 series that I haven't had a chance to play yet, and that's both Persona 3 and Persona 4. I've had them for the longest time, but just because of their reputation of being super long games and the limited amount of time that I do have home, just haven't had an opportunity to play them.
Have you guys played Jaws Unleashed? Because you're missing out.
What are we missing out on?
Being a shark. Unleashing your inner shark.
Did you play
Eating people.
Did you play the prequel?
Yeah. What's the prequel?
Jaws Leashed.
Yeah, because before he became unleashed.
On the leash.
You take Jaws for a swim.
Riveting. Thank you for the question, Terry. Those are some good questions. As always, if you have a question for next month's Game Talk, put it in the description. Do you guys want to go ahead and announce next month's theme, or do you want to?
Yeah.
Should we do that?
Yeah, because they got to know what questions to ask, right?
It's true. Next month's themed is Xbox month. We have a special guest coming on for next Game Talk as well. I won't say who that is. That'll be a surprise. But leave a question, and you can theme it around the theme of Xbox. We're all going to be there. We're going to be there with our Halo helmets, with our Gears of War chainsaw guns, driving our Forza cars.
Mountain Dew.
I don't know. Mountain Dew. Yeah, drinking our Mountain Dew and our bag of Doritos. So get hype for Xbox month.
Hi.
Teddy's drinking his Doritos. He
Gonna
blended
ground
up
him into
his-
a nice paste.
Yeah, he grounded up his Doritos and then he solidified his Mountain Dew. Delicious. Now we are moving on to Game Talk. In Game Talk is a very special episode that we do every month where we all bring a game to the table. This month, with the exception of Derek the Completionist, I told him he could do whatever he wants, but Teddy and Spencer have to bring a game that reminds them of me in some way, shape, or form. We'll see what happens. Derek, do you want to go first in presenting whatever game you want to talk about?
Actually, I am just going to step away from the computer, and while one of the other guys talk, I'm going to bring up the perfect game that sums you up perfectly. So I will be right back.
Okay,
And one of you guys can go ahead. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay, sure. Then what do you guys want to go?
Hell yeah, I'd be happy to while Derek gets this game. So I actually wanted to talk about this book I'm reading, Tom Clancy, Rainbow Six. Pretty fascinating. It's got the, like I think he served in the, I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, no, I did pick a game for Alex month. So let me set the scene. Imagine you are filled with rage. You want to unleash this rage. You've been tamed and you are a monster with claws, seeking blood, lusting to kill. And you know nothing but the life of serving the mages and the council of mages, until suddenly, as you enter the temple on the whim of one mage Malatoth, you find yourself killing the man who is your father, and you awaken to your reality that your whole life has been led serving a higher purpose with which you do not agree. Your name is Arbron, and you are the Shadow of the Beast. This is Shadow of the Beast for the PlayStation 4. This is a spiritual successor to Shadow of the Beast for the Amiga, and I believe it was also an arcade game. Came out in 2016. Was made using the Unreal Engine. It is a level-based progression type of game. So there's about 7 core levels, each of which last anywhere between 10 minutes and 30. And the entire experience is grand but subtle. It's beautiful. I did mention it was done with the Unreal Engine. Even though it's a 2D side-scroller, I oftentimes forget myself forgetting that it's 2D in the first place because the environments are so lush. The first stage you're, following with Malatoth, got you on a chain behind you as you're like progressing into this temple, and like you see the camera shift and like kind of pan back as you're going up the bridge and into the temple. And you will find yourself in huge cavernous cave, areas, or like, a wilderness where like there's like monsters and machines. It has very much a fantasy aesthetic. The main character is a beast, literally. He doesn't have like a defined like creature that he is. He's just like, an aberration. He is the byproduct of mages that stole him as a child and turned him into their kind of lackey and beast. He looks kind of like a Mortal Kombat character with the claws, and they're used in combat. This game very much takes advantage of a combat multiplier system where you can build combos in waves. There's kind of like hordes. Most levels have about 10 hordes and then a boss battle. And it could be anywhere from like 5 to 30 enemies coming in at you left and right, and you need to be adept at blocking and also attacking them, and knowing if you want to use a special attack to build or to unleash your multiplier and just take in max points. Now you're probably like, why do I care about score attack? Well, the game actually has a lot of awesome unlockables, from character concept art to abilities that you use within the main game to help you. Shadow of the Beast, I don't know if you guys have experienced the original, but it was a very difficult game, and it's one that's punishing in some regards. This game is difficult, although it being level-based as opposed to adventure-based makes it much more approachable. Also, there's 3 difficulties. Beginner gives you infinite lives if you so choose. But it's still nice to be able to upgrade your character in a way. I also like that you can unlock the original Amiga game to be played within the game. And it has online leaderboards you can compare with your friends or just the globe. I've gotten in the top like 3,000 for one level. So, I think it's got a very robust combat system. It's also, I mentioned the subtle art of storytelling. One thing I don't like is that there's an unlockable to unlock dialogue options. The characters speak in a foreign tongue, and then it just subtitles in a foreign text font, and then you actually have to unlock that if you want to follow along with the story. I don't see why that couldn't just been in there in the first place, but it's still kind of a neat little quirk. And also it keeps you wondering. I think that's what I like the most about it. This is like one of those things where it's almost like less is more, and it makes you wonder about this main character and about this world and about this fantastical setting. Honestly, it's got some kind of Witcher monster aesthetics. There's like each level has like different themed monsters. Like you could be fighting anything from like a werewolf to the Leviathan, and so like a lot of cool character concepts. And also, if you like Smash Brothers, like how in Smash Brothers, like you go to the trophy menu, you can read the history of these things. You could do very much the same thing with the characters and artwork here. So Shadow of the Beast, I really enjoyed my time with it. It reminds me of Alex because I had sent him my Genesis copy, and he actually enjoyed it more than I did. So I know he took a liking to it, and I was excited to give this remake a try, and I can definitely give it a wholehearted Alex stamp of approval for Alex Month.
That's true. If you were to look on my old backdrop for Turbozo that I had for a while, you could see the case for Shadow of the Beast sitting on the wall. Now, did you get very far in the Genesis version?
I probably played it for like 30 minutes to an hour. I started to get good at it, but it was still very challenging because I don't remember there being like save points or anything. And also, the Genesis version was slightly less powerful than the Amiga version. And so that always kind of threw me off, was knowing like that the Amiga version was a bit more like competent. And also like I played the Amiga version on this version. Honestly, the differences are subtle. There's like, I don't remember this about the Genesis version, but there's like almost like storytelling in the Amiga version. Like as you like go through levels, it reminds me of like a very old school RPG in a sense. But the visual production looks very similar. As far as how far I got like down to a cave and like probably down to the next level, and then I stopped. How far, or why did you ask that?
I was just curious because like I've always known about this PS4 version, but I thought it was just like a reskin or like an update. But it sounds to me like it's a completely different game.
It's very much inspired by the original, but it is a completely different game. The monsters you're fighting in the first level of the Genesis and Amiga version are like bats and a rock. This one has like humans and a mage that's carrying you, and then you're getting fired arrows at, and you have to duck under trees. And suddenly, like when you find out your truth, orcs start spawning out of the ground. It's really cool.
How do you think storytelling was handled in this game? Because usually you think of, when you think of more complex stories, you think of like an RPG. How do you think this game handled it?
Oh,
Like
very
for-
well. I really liked how it handled storytelling, especially considering I didn't understand a damn word that was said because, the dialogue option wasn't unlocked. What it does is it will give you like flashbacks with like very early on within the first stage, or it'll close on kind of a cliffhanger. Malatoth steals a baby. So, that baby has some kind of significance. You were a baby. You get the flashback to when you were a baby, and then you're the beast you are now. So it keeps you wondering and scratching your head. Every level that you progress through kind of adds a little bit more to the storyline. By the time I finished, I didn't have a finalized picture of what that was or what that meant, but I did still have kind of an engaged mindset while I was playing through it. And another thing I liked, after the final boss, there's multiple endings, but you don't have to go through the whole game to get them. You just can pick whichever ending you want after completing that segment. And so that kind of was just like,
Ooh.
where, like, what are these options? Like, like, I don't want to spoil much for those who are interested in playing, but it's still interesting to pick an ending without fully understanding the story you're playing. I really liked it.
So it's more like SMT where you just kind of pick, as opposed to like your actions determining the ending.
That's true. It is kind of like you pick. In fact, you do pick. It's like buttons on the controller. But your grasp of that world up to that point is only what is told through visual medium, unless you've unlocked dialogue. So it's kind of profound in that sense.
It sounds kind of like Oddworld-esque, not in the sense of the gameplay, but in the sense of the fact that it's a 2D platformer with more of a cinematic style and flair to it.
That's exactly how I describe it. It's a great characterization. And it's just, I don't like 2016 in terms of the PS4 lifespan. What is that, 3 years in? A lot of people were underwhelmed, but I honestly think it's I played Ori and I'm impressed by Ori, but this game, like, I was taken aback at how good this looked, and just like that in combination with the fact that it is cinematic. Oh, if you like the original soundtrack, you can actually mod out the new soundtrack for it. So like that's a cool little quirk. But I found it very impressive for its time. The one thing I could be critical of is the PS4 controller D-pad is kind of sucky. But it's what it is. It's I found it serviceable in playing through. I didn't find this like a kind of game where it was like game breaking. It wasn't like it prevented me from progressing through the level. There was one level where it was I was like scratching my head about what the hell to do. I'll just suggest that climb everything you can, because that'll help you.
I'm gonna take it by the way that you're describing it that you like this version more than the Genesis or Master System version. Whatever.
Amiga.
Oh, Amiga.
Mhm.
You like it better than that one?
Yeah. I unlocked the Amiga version. I played a little bit and I was like, this is cool. But you know what? This version, I'd say it's pretty definitive.
Yes, it was an Amiga game that got ported to the Genesis by EA.
Oh, okay.
And
Gotcha.
then they had a sequel on Genesis as well. And the original, it was much more of like an open adventure experience. But I love the first game and its sequel on Genesis. The sequel less than the first game, but still. So I will have to put the PS4 game on my radar.
Sweet. Derek, do you know much about Shadow of the Beast?
To be honest, I've never played it before. But I haven't played a lot of games for the for Sega systems. So it's something that that's completely underneath my radar. I haven't played it before.
Even in like '89, like the name wasn't even on your radar. You had like it didn't have like a legacy. Or
No.
anything.
No, nothing like that, because the only games that I remember having the name Shadow to it is, Shadow of the Colossus.
Okay. Did you know about the Amiga?
I know the Amiga mostly as a system that was big in Europe, especially in the UK, but beyond that, and some videos that I actually seen, I don't really know much about the Amiga, to be perfectly honest.
Okay. I don't either.
Well.
That's why I asked.
Apparently there's a Shadow of the Beast 3
Was there? On what?
on the Amiga.
Oh, well, that's why I haven't played it.
And you know what Amiga means? Friend.
Girlfriend.
Hey.
I'll have to check it out, because I really do like. I mean, I'm interested in the PS4 version as well, and it seems like it keeps the spirit intact, because the original version that I played on Genesis, it's kind of undescribable. It's like otherworldly, like the world you're in, the things you're experiencing, and the way the game's stylized. It does remind me of Oddworld, where it is just otherworldly, and it's hard to explain with words what exactly you're surrounded by and what you're seeing, but it's very unique.
Oh yeah, I remember when I played it, I wasn't like, this is a bad game. It was hard to grasp. I didn't quite get it, but I was intrigued when I played. Like I was like, I want to know more, like, about this adventure and experience. There is like a throwback to a level that happens in the original game, in this game, I won't say what it is, but if you like certain genres that people on YouTube tend to like, you might like that section. In this game, it was okay, that version. But I was just interested in that history. So I respect the legacy of Shadow of the Beast, and I definitely appreciate this remake, if you'd call it. Yeah, remake.
Cool. Anything else to say about Shadow of the Beast?
Nope.
All right. Derek, you want to go?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So before I had to abruptly leave, I thought the game that I should talk about, since it's Alex month, and earlier, before we started, we were talking about games in which the lead character's name is Alex, and it seems like the only game that people thought of would be Alex Kidd, which is kind of completely understandable, because in the grand scheme of things, he is quite a big mascot for Sega. But with me being a big RPG player, I actually thought about it for a bit, and I thought, you know what? I do know of a game in which the lead character is actually named Alex. And if you haven't already guessed what it is, the game in question is actually Lunar, the original Lunar. And this is the PSP remake called Lunar Silver Star Harmony. But I actually do own the PS1 version, which is the Lunar, the Silver Star Story Complete. Now, this isn't the first time that the game's actually been released in North America. It was originally released in North America for the Sega CD, but the game itself tells the story of a young lad by the name of Alex who wants to become the next Dragon Master. So a series of events literally leads him down that path, where hopefully through enough trials and tribulations he does become the next Dragon Master. But after racking my head about it, that's the only other game I can think of in which the lead character is named Alex. But if you're a huge old school JRPG fan, this is a game series that everyone should literally give a try, because it uses very beautiful animated cutscenes. One of the first PlayStation 1 titles that I recall that ever used it, and it actually had a ton of them. The combat is standard turn-based JRPG fare, but it actually has a lot of charm, and especially for the PS1 title, it's a working designs title, so it has a lot of that clever meta humor, especially if you were a kid of the 90s or a teenager of the 90s, that you'd get a lot of the jokes that they often included in their games. But it's just one of those timeless classics that actually has a lot of charm to it, and it does stand the test of time.
Sounds like my biography.
There you go.
What,
So you're...
Sorry, what's the combat like in the game? Just curious.
It's strictly turn-based. It's just the max amount of characters you can have on screen, playable characters, is 5. It's just, you can defend, use an item, attack, cast a spell, and things along those lines. I think since it is a much older JRPG, the PS1 title does have limited inventory space. Like, you can only use like 6 items in your inventory, so you're constantly moving items in and out of your inventory between different characters. The thing is that if that doesn't sound like your cup of tea, the PSP remake is actually much more forgiving. It actually allows you to have a lot more items in your inventory, and I do find the game significantly easier than its PS1 counterpart. But one of the best things about this game is that these games are not huge time sinks, because they can be beaten in about 20 to 30 hours when most JRPGs usually exceed the 60 to 80 hour time frame. So it's just something nice and quick to play, and if you put 6 to 8 hours a day into it, you can have it done in a week. So it's just a nice, quick, simple JRPG. It doesn't really do anything to really reinvent the JRPG formula, but I think on the animated cutscenes and its charm alone is enough to make it a timeless classic.
Now, Derek, you are the completionist. What's your experience completing Lunar?
I have completed both. I've completed both the PSP version and the PS1 version. Completion-wise, they're not really difficult, but unfortunately, The PS1 title is a lot harder to complete than the PSP version because one of the things you do collect in these games are bromides, and what bromides are is that they're photographs of the female characters in the game, and they can only be gotten by checking certain areas in a town at a specific point, or talking to a person at a very specific point. Like the windows to get these pictures in these games is a very short window, and unfortunately, if you do miss it, you will never be able to get them again. So you got to be really careful. I've actually had to play this entry of Lunar several times because I kept missing one or two of the actual bromides. And the guide and the actual licensed guide that I actually had for this game actually gave me misinformation. They told me I could get this bromide at a certain point in the game. In reality, I didn't. So I had to go to an online guide to actually to find out the proper way to get it. But literally, standard completionist requirements, open up every treasure chest, get all the best weapons, armor, etc., and collect every bromide in the game. The PSP remake is obviously much more easier to collect everything, and I think even though it is a PSP JRPG, I think this one is significantly cheaper than the PS1 counterpart.
What's your take on RPGs being shorter as opposed to longer? It sounds like you're pro for it because you don't have a lot of time.
To be honest, I see nothing wrong with it. I think it's great. It's just that with me, when it comes to completing a JRPG, it's not unusual for me to dedicate more than 100 hours into doing it. So to actually have a JRPG that actually doesn't have a lot to do in order to complete it, it's actually nice and refreshing. Because sometimes you can tell when you're playing a JRPG when they're just adding needless padding. Like, there's nothing wrong with having an extra dungeon or two, or a couple of side quests here and there. But when you make it a big aspect of your game, it can often be tiring. But when you actually play a JRPG that has that nice time length of 20 to 40 hours to absolutely do everything in the game, it's actually quite refreshing. And yes, I am for it. But I understand that for a lot of these companies, they want to milk as much out of their games as possible to keep people people playing them. And in hindsight, there's really nothing wrong with that, because obviously the more time people put into the game, the better it is for you. But sometimes it is nice and refreshing to actually play an RPG or a JRPG that's not going to suck up a lot of your time.
That actually fits Alex Month better than you think, because I tend to put a max 30 to 40 hours into a game. So,
well, that RPG series would be the perfect way to do it.
Cool. I never heard of well, I've heard of Lunar. I've never experienced Lunar, I should say.
What's your experience with the sequels?
With Lunar Eternal Blue, a lot more to do. That's more of a 50 to 60 hour, just because there's a lot of post-game content. And there's a lot of extra dungeons to do once Lunar 2 is actually beaten. I don't really want to say any spoilers here. But I haven't played the Sega CD versions. Obviously, they're not as polished as their PS1 counterparts. But they're a lot more difficult, and it actually brings a nice challenging curve to them. I do eventually want to play the Sega CD versions. I did have them at one point, but then when I discovered that the that the Sega CD was actually fairly easy to emulate, and unfortunately we had some unexpected bills at the time, I ended up selling off my Sega CD collection. Because a lot of the games were fairly expensive. We had a couple of vet bills that cut into our savings, and I wouldn't have sold them if I didn't think that the emulation for them would have been good. But every report that I've read and everyone I've talked to actually says that Sega CD emulation is actually really good. So I'll probably play them through that means.
Do you think it's worth playing through the Sega CD version if you've already played the PS1 and PSP versions?
Yeah, because they're actually different. In the sense that sometimes the story will be a little more fleshed out. Sometimes things happen completely out of order. even though you are technically playing the same game as the PS1 version, but there's actually quite a lot of notable differences between a Sega CD version of a Lunar game and the PS1 version. Like, one of the biggest differences is that in the PS1 version, when you get into the overworld map, there's no random encounters. You can just go from point A to point B. But if you play the game on the Sega CD, when you do go into the overworld map, you can get into random encounters. There's certain story sequences that are completely different than their PS1 counterparts. Even though it would be easy for me to read ahead and know what those story differences are, I think I'm much better off just playing them myself. And it's not as if playing the Sega CD versions would be huge time sinks either, because I think they're just as long, or maybe even a little shorter, than their PS1 counterparts.
Interesting. You played the DS one?
I have played the DS version of Lunar Dragon Song, and unfortunately, it has been a very painful experience. I did beat it, but I haven't completed it yet, so eventually I will.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. When you're a completionist, you take the good with the bad.
What's wrong with it?
A lot.
Isn't that the one where you get you have stamina, or you get hurt by running?
Yeah, you do. Whoever thought that was a good idea should be dragged out into the street and shot.
It's true to life, though. It's true for Alex Month. I get hurt by running.
There you go.
It hurts me emotionally.
So did Alex in this game. No, I'm sure it's not Alex, but
That sounds awesome. Like I said, I've never experienced that series, but it might be on my radar. I might have to try the PSP version sometime, or the Sega CD version if I ever want to emulate it. But still, so thank you, Derek.
No worries. Like I said, the main hero's named Alex, so I couldn't think of a better game, for Alex Month.
Spencer, you want to go next or last?
I'll go next. I'll save you for Alex Month. Alex goes last, right?
Okay.
All right. I started playing one game, and I did not particularly enjoy it. So then I picked a different one that I thought I'm pretty confident you would like this one. Based on some of your videos. What's that?
You want to know what the first game was?
Psychonauts 2.
Oh, you didn't like Psychonauts 2?
The gameplay was fine. The sense of humor was not my thing.
Oh, makes you sad.
The jokes felt like it was from a DreamWorks movie or something. It was goofy. But I picked another game that's I thought would be more similar as far as the sense of humor. But I was pleasantly surprised by pretty much everything in it. And that is Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
Woo!
Yeah. Give me a chance to dust off the PS5 because I have not used it since getting it, basically. So that was exciting. I'm not a big Ratchet and Clank guy. I don't know much about the series. I don't know if I'll ever go back and play the other ones unless we do it for a map out. But I have basically nothing but positive things to say about it. It's the story. I can read the box here. Go dimension hopping with Ratchet, Clank, and newcomer Rivet, a resistance fighter from another universe. This one has all the bells and whistles I assume are in the other Ratchet and Clanks. Really fun weapons that you can upgrade, and they're very explosive and sometimes unique. Like in this one, I don't know the weapons from the other one, so I could be repeating. I don't know. But my favorite weapon in this game is this charge beam. So you can it for a second, and then it shoots this huge laser that pretty much blows up everything it touches. And you can aim it, and you can upgrade it so the laser lasts longer, and it's a lot of fun. And you can shoot little grenades at people, and there's a drill that goes underground and pops back up and hits enemies with the cool drill thing. A lot of really, really unique weapons to have fun with. And I love the upgrade system. So you can, as you play the game, you can upgrade and pick the ones that you like. And so you're very specialized. The controls are a little weird for me, but once you get used to them, they're not too bad. They play more like a first-person shooter, but in third person. So you aim with the right stick and move with the left stick, and it does have platformer elements, although they're not that bad. They're pretty light. Graphically, it is very, very pretty. There are a lot of particle effects. So like I mentioned explosions and fun weaponry. Well, all those explosions create tons of debris and they all fly everywhere. And whenever you collect items, all the little pieces of it are just flying to you all the time. It's a lot of cool particle effects and like really eye-catching moments. So graphically, a lot of fun, and I don't know that it pushes the PS5 to its limits. I don't know if I've seen a game on the PS5 that pushes the PS5 to what I assume are its limits. And that includes a game I'm playing recently that I like, but I just don't know that the PS5 has really been unlocked in a way that I'd like to see yet. So hoping that happens soon. Maybe Elden Ring will do it. Who knows? But Ratchet and Clank has, while the graphics are nice, it has more of a cartoony art style. And I was a little bit nervous about that because I just gotten through a little bit of Psychonauts and was not super excited to hear the corny jokes. Luckily, Ratchet and Clank was surprisingly subdued. It wasn't as boisterous, and they didn't fill every line dialogue with some goofy joke. Like there's surprisingly amounts of just like somber, serious moments in it that I was very refreshed, because it's nice to see them take a cartoon approach, but also try to keep it more something adults could follow. I was also aware that they made like a Ratchet and Clank movie / game kind of relationship, and I heard that one goes the other way with it. So I'm glad that this one does not. This one was a lot more fun to play and took itself a little more seriously, which I appreciated. It does introduce a new character to the series, who's also a Lombat. But to me, that means almost nothing because I haven't played the other ones. But I mean, I understand it's a new character and it's kind of cool. She's a different character, a different color, but she's very similar. And oddly enough, like from a weird logic gameplay perspective, even though you're switching back and forth between the characters, they retain the same items and upgrades that you had. So I don't know how they justify that mechanically, but in the game it works because you don't have to worry about like I'll upgrade on this one, so you just keep all the same shit. Very nice. Story-wise, it's pretty goofy, but you're traveling through different rifts and traveling around in space to stop a crazy guy. It's kind of the point of it. But really, really fun game. A lot to like. If you like Ratchet and Clank, I'm assuming this is more of it. From what I've seen of Ratchet and Clank, this is just more of that. Very crazy combat, very fun. Some oddly challenging moments. So if you're looking for a challenge, they have an arena mode or like a stage that's like an arena, and you can make it progressively harder and get better bonuses because of it. So there definitely is a challenge here if you want to embrace that, and it is a lot of fun. So Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, get it now.
Can you still use Mr. Zircon?
Mr. Zircon?
Yeah, he's a weapon.
I don't recall that. What does it do?
It's a robot that flies around, and his name is Mr. Zircon, and he goes, "Mr. Zircon's going to kill you." And he just says cheesy one-liners as he shoots everybody. And that later on, they added a whole Zircon family. As you upgrade him, you the son and the mama Zircon, and it's like a whole Zircon family that are all shooting enemies for you as you walk around. Yeah,
I don't recall that weapon, but. I should say there are moments where you take control of. Maybe it's Ratchet. There are Ratchet moments, and they're Clank. There are Clank moments in it that are more puzzle based, and they're very, very clever. And I think should probably get their own game. And I think Clank has had like a game of its own or something.
Sadly,
yeah, I think his game was on the PSP if I remember correctly.
Oh, his moments were really fun. There was like a cool puzzle thing. It was like Lemmings, and like there were creatures that were just running in a way, and you could alter the course that they're running on to make them either jump or go super fast or do tricks or whatever. And it helped. You had to guide them to a certain goal, and that was a lot of fun. And then there's also a spider mini game that happens occasionally that you can't jump, but you can shoot and you can go up, and it bends with gravity. So it's a really cool use of. I think the level design in this game is really something that stood out to me, and I think those levels stood out specifically.
well, don't get used to that because his game sucks. Secret Agent Clank was awful.
Oh,
So you feel fine playing this game without knowing anything about the franchise? Because from what I understand, this title leads from the previous games, which is like 13 games in at that point. Not, because skipping the movie game.
yeah. I have no issue and never have had any issue with that. I choose to watch TV shows in the middle of it. I don't usually like the first season of any TV show. Like one of my favorite shows is 30 Rock. I recommend nobody watch seasons 1 and 2. Just skip them and go straight to 3. If you want to know what happened before, I don't know why. It's just goofy nonsense. As with most video games, I just think most of them are goofy nonsense. You can jump in whenever you feel like it, and I think Rift Apart, while I didn't necessarily know their adventures prior and the significance necessarily of another Lombat, who gives a shit? It's guys shooting rockets at each other.
As long as you got your enjoyment out of it, my friend, that's all that matters.
Yeah, it's fun.
Perfect for Alex month. Well, not only am I a huge Ratchet fan, but also that's how they get me to buy PlayStation consoles every fucking generation. It's like the PS3, I was like, I'm fine, and then they were like, yeah, but look, Ratchet games. I was like, shit. And then the PS4, I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And then I went to a GameStop and played a demo for the PS4 Ratchet game, and I was like, shit. And then now it's like the only game I care about on PS5 is Ratchet. So that's how it works every generation. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And then they're like, yeah, but look, it's Ratchet. I'm like, fuck. Yeah, all right.
Out of your massive PS5 collection of 4, where does Ratchet and Clank rank?
Well, this makes my collection look even worse. I can't really tell you. It's definitely fighting for second, third, or fourth because I have not played the other 2 games that I have for the PS5.
So it's in the top 4.
Yes, it's in the top 4.
Okay.
The PS5 is kind of a disaster of a console. I'm not gonna lie. There's not a whole lot specifically for it, unless you want like the Demon Souls remake, which I didn't really care about. So I guess Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is my favorite PlayStation 5 exclusive.
It's the only one, right?
Besides the Demon Souls.
Souls.
This versus Demon Souls, this one wins. That's number 1, baby.
Good. Like even the new Horizon game, I think, is on PS4.
I was shocked to hear that. I'm like, why?
Yeah, me
like,
too. I didn't know. I was like, what? I guess because
I'm hoping it was actually made for PS5 and then just like dumbed down for the PS4 version. But
I'm guessing
God, you never
like,
know.
They were like, oh yeah, like nobody's able to buy a PS5 right now. We should probably like still make PS4 games because we want to make a profit.
Are you sure
Yeah.
Take Your Son to Work Day 2 isn't an exclusive?
Oh, that's a.
I'll check up on that.
That's a free thing, Daddy. The Astro thing.
Yeah.
It's like a.
Oh, so it is a pack-in.
Yeah, it's like a free inclusion.
Yes.
So it's somewhere on my PS5 right now, waiting to be.
Yeah,
installed.
you should have. Yeah, you should have
I was
Astro's
right.
Playroom or something.
I didn't know. I thought it was a pack-in. I was just joking.
I'll go take a gander. Maybe I've got a great PS5 exclusive I can go play.
Teddy watched me play Astrobot VR one time, and he said it was taking my son to work. It looks like I'm like watching him walk around and stuff.
That's what it looked like. Just watching him stream. It looked like it's. Like...
I mean, I have to move him around, but still. My remote control son. That's awesome. I'm glad you picked. I'm sad you didn't like Psychonauts because I've been playing that game and I think it's phenomenal. But I'm glad you liked Ratchet though.
Psychonauts was fun. Like the gameplay was fine, but
yeah, maybe the sense of humor isn't your thing.
I got through one too many cutscenes and they're like doing a bunch of more slapstick humor, and I'm just like, oh my God,
Double Fine, and Tim Schafer, Double Fine, all those games by that company, they're very like silly. I don't know if you played Brutal Legend and stuff too, or any of those games, but yeah, they're his sense of humor is very silly. So, but cool. I guess I will go last because that's the only option. here. It's me.
Alex,
What's up?
Alex,
Alex, what did I play? I played Spectrum. I'm just kidding. I played I didn't play Spectrum. I've been awesome though. I wanted to play something I hadn't experienced yet, and recently on a Twitch stream I played through the arcade Battletoads, which I had played before, and I was like, this was fun. So I decided to play the 2020 Battletoads reboot. Game that I remember being it was announced, then nothing. Like I didn't even know it came out. Nobody talked about this game. It's Battletoads was originally a series by Rare. It was created to compete with the Ninja Turtles in that time period, and then Rare moved on to bigger and better things, leaving Battletoads in the dust. It's a random series to bring back, but I guess Microsoft wanted some of that nostalgia money, and they had put one of the Battletoads in Killer Instinct before as well. So I jumped into the Battletoads 2020 expecting a retro beat 'em up. We've had a few revivals of those recently. We've had Streets of Rage 4. We've had the Kunio-kun games come back with the River City Girls stuff. So I was expecting just a straightforward retro beat 'em up, and that's not exactly what I got here. I will go on a record saying that I do enjoy this game, and I am intrigued to see if they ever do anything else with this. But Battletoads 2020 is more than just a retro beat 'em up. It is a 3-player game, and there are beat 'em up sections, but it's way more narrative focused than I would have thought. It plays itself. It's very satirical, where the original was made to kind of tap into the Ninja Turtle Saturday morning cartoon market. This game is meant to satirize said market, where the game itself feels like part of a show that doesn't exist. The Battletoads have been trapped in a simulation for the last 26 years. They think they have been big heroes, but they are found in the simulation and pulled out of it. And it turns out nobody knows who the hell they are or what the hell they are. Nobody cares. So the game is really just about the Battletoads trying to become famous because they saved the world 26 years ago, and nobody even knows who they are now. With that there's a lot of comedy in this game. The writing is very funny. One of the funniest sections in the game is towards the beginning. Is you play through these QuickTime events, but they're literally just showing the Toads doing mundane jobs. Like one of them is like giving a back massage at a massage parlor, and then the other one is like typing at a computer desk and then looking over and like listening to people talking by a like water cooler. And you do this section like 3 times, and it's like very mundane, but it's very hilarious in the way they frame it right after coming off of this big boss battle. And there's other sections that really are like moments that really cracked me up. One of my favorite lines is there's this section where you have to you accidentally knock out this this representative of this, I don't know, some galactic stuff you need, and you have to what's that movie? Is it Weekend at Bernie's where they have him like the old man or whatever? I don't forget. But you have to basically you have to basically do that. They Weekend at Bernie's this guy, but there's 3 big toads in the same room, so it's obvious they're there, but they're, the guy just has like sunglasses on, so they're acting like the guy's fine. And then the waiters come to bring out food, and the waiter's a fly, and one of the toads like eats them and then spits them back out. They're like, what the hell? That he wouldn't do it. And then the sunglasses fall off. It's like, there's 3 big toads there. I don't know how they didn't see him in the first place. And then the other flies are like around the chewed up fly, and it's like, come on, Jeff, you could get back up. You survived malaria. You could do anything. And I don't know why that line just cracked me the fuck up. It's very funny. Very self-aware game. And why I said it wasn't just a beat 'em up, because there are beat 'em up sections, but there's also a lot of other stuff included. There's platformer sections. There are sections that remind me of the DK Country minecart areas. There are, of course, the speeder bikes from the original Battletoads are also included. There are random mini games. There's a shmup section. There's a lot of different stuff thrown in here. The game's only about 5 hours long. But there's sections in here that, I spent 30 minutes doing things that weren't beat 'em up, areas. So there's a lot of gameplay variety. That's why I'm kind of hard pressed to just to call it a beat 'em up, because it does do more than that. But I was very surprised by this game and the fact that it kind of just happened and didn't get any fanfare and nothing. It just kind of, it's on Game Pass if you want to play it, but it's just kind of there. I think maybe Microsoft squandered the chance to make this comeback big, and I feel like this game would have been better suited if they published it on the Switch, like they have some of their other first-party games like Ori and New Lucky Tale and Cuphead. I feel like Battletoads would have had a better response if it was on the Switch with a more of a retro audience.
It's Rareware, right?
It's Rare's property, and they get credit, but it's a different developer. Hold on, the developer of this game is
Dilala Studios.
yeah. Dilala Studios made this game, but
That's a great
it's
name.
just Rare is the one that owns the license.
Yeah, it's the curse of the Rareware buyout.
Well, honestly, I'd rather this happen. I mean, they did the same thing with Killer Instinct. They had a different studio make the new Killer Instinct. It's a pretty solid game as well. So honestly, if Rare's not going to do anything with these properties, I prefer Microsoft let other studios make games using them.
Yeah, definitely. And
Yeah,
I think. Oh, you go first. That's fine.
No, no, I was just gonna say, regarding Rare, like Rare, a Rare game is actually my favorite N64 game of all time, and it hasn't had another entry. It hasn't had another entry in the series, since its N64 debut, and I really wish, Rare would actually go back to that series, and that's Blast Corps.
Yeah, they with the exception of like Banjo and I guess Perfect Dark Now, like they don't tend to really do a lot of sequels to some of their more original games, like and Battletoads was the same way back in the day too. They had the NES game, the arcade version. I think there's a Genesis port as well, and then they had like a crossover with Double Dragon, and that was it. Like they just kind of left that franchise to die. So yeah, they don't. The Rare has a lot of untapped franchises.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's refreshing to hear that the humor is still intact, like that classic Rareware humor. I don't know, because I'm not familiar with the original Battletoads, to what extent that was present in the first game. But I do think like this almost sounds like the Sonic Mania treatment or something. Like a passion project. Although I wonder, as far as I know, Battletoads, its legacy was like as that really hard game to do like a let's play of. To what extent does this remake, or is it not a remake? I'm sorry, this successor, maintain that reputation?
It's definitely not as hard. There's difficulty options, so it's way more accessible. Honestly, the original NES game, at least, I'm not a huge fan of the NES game. I like the arcade game a lot. I never played the Genesis version, and the game with Double Dragon is all right, but the arcade version I'm a big fan of. There is still humor, to answer, to kind of roll back to what you said a minute ago. There is still humor in the old game as well. It's the humor in the old game came from more of the animation side of things. Whenever you'd punch somebody, your hand would get real big, or your shoe would get giant, or you'd kick them in the butt and they'd fly off the screen, or an enemy would pop up and the toad's eyes would just bulge out of their head and stuff. So there was still like really comedic elements to the old game. And I think in terms of the Battletoads legacy, it's still the new game holds up. It's way more approachable than that NES game, because that NES game is way too unfair and way too unforgiving for its own good, and it kind of it I don't know, it's dug itself into a hole of having that like reputation of being like one of those like way too hard NES games.
When I was a youth, my brother and I'm a twin, so we always had to put or rent games that were like 2-player, and we rented Battletoads in Battle Maniacs. It's the Super
for the
Nintendo game.
SNES. Yeah, for the SNES.
And I mean, back then, so at Blockbuster, you'd rent a game and you have it for 3 days. We were literally stuck on the second level for all 3 days. The first level was like your typical beat 'em up course, and the second one was on the whatever the bike things are. and
Yeah.
we could not get past it ever. So that game to me is always just the first level that was okay, and then the level we couldn't beat.
Yeah, the bike section in those games have always been brutal. This one does have a bike section as well, but it's way easier to navigate. It doesn't like behind the shoulder, and of course, we're 20 something years in the future here, so obviously the technology is way better with that kind of stuff. So
That being said, I think I'm a little bit disappointed that they put multiple difficulty settings. It seems almost like a betrayal of the series.
yeah, I don't know. Like I said, but the game itself has more of like a satirical tone that's like satirizing those old Saturday morning cartoon style games and franchises and stuff. So I don't know. They sort of poke fun at themselves a lot in this game. Like there's even like moments where they're like, it comes into question. Like they're like, wait, aren't you guys brothers? It's like, I don't know. We never decided. Like I mean, who knows? Like they always kind of poke fun at everything. So, yeah, I've seen it more as like a fun little parody of like the games you would play in the 80s than it is like a tribute to like the original Battletoads game. I think it is certainly like sort of its own thing in a way. I liked it though, and I would like for them to do more. I kind of wish the game was longer. That's my only complaint, is that the game is about 5 hours, and I get if you're playing with like 2 other people in like a party setting, maybe that's the perfect length, but I was playing by myself and switching between the toads, which the toads do control differently. They all have different attributes, so that's fun. It gives me a reason to actually switch back and forth between the different characters, and use each toad effectively. So I'm happy with the game.
If Battletoads ever came to Switch and Toad wasn't a playable character, I'd be deeply disappointed.
Yeah, the 4th toad is just Toad.
Hello. Pow!
But yeah, that was my game. It's Battletoads. Cool. Alex month. It's as the Alex month game talk. We had a good lineup. So this is we're recording later than we ever do. I see Teddy getting tired.
It's like my bedtime.
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about that, guys.
Started.
I also have like a sty, so like my eyes like half closed. So.
Oh, dude, I used to get those a lot. Those will fuck your life over.
It's horrid, man. An eyelash was in my eye, and I spent like half a day like trying to get it out, like looking at strategies on YouTube, and it's like, I hate touching my eye. It's the worst thing.
Sure.
You touch it, it goes further back into your eye. What ended up working was taking a Q-tip and getting it wet, and then like I was able to kind of like get it in the corner, and like I think it came off, or it just went behind my eyeball, and that's why my eye is suffering right now. But yeah, not fun times.
Yeah, it's been a great time as always, guys. No complaints.
Oh, this was a great time. The eyeball thing was the not fun time.
Oh yeah.
Just to clarify.
Again, thanks to Derek for coming on the show.
As always, no worries, guys. Anytime during, I'm home during the winter, so.
Hey, you make our podcast complete.
Thank you, my friend. I wouldn't expect anything else from the chillest of the chill.
Alex, well done on hosting Alex Month Game Talk. I'm looking forward to more Alex-related content.
My hosting duties are rusty as hell. I'm not used to doing this anymore. Get ready, though, because the next episode is not hosted by me. It's hosted by Spencer. And who knows, we may have already recorded it, and it may be
Jesus Christ.
I'm going to announce it. It's a
End the episode.
It's
a remap of Banjo-Kazooie.
Do we have to find a game in which there's a character named Spencer?
Can you?
I don't know. I could try. It's just a simple Google search.
What about Brad Spencer from Bionic Commando?
Half-Life.
Oh,
Spencer.
there it is.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the one.
His name's
Isn't
Spencer.
there a Spencer in Earth?
Yeah.
There is when I play it.
I thought that was Pico.
Yeah, putting your name in don't count.
Ah.
Damn.
Spencer Confidential. That's a movie.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Should like end the show.
Yeah. Do you want to?
Yeah, let's close out the episode.
Let's wrap this up.
And let Teddy get some rest.
Derek, can you throw out a sick rhyme?
A sick rhyme? Holy crap. You're asking a lot.
To do this rap.
You have to complete it.
Let me just... Yeah.
We've ended where we started.
All right. I gotta... Give me a second. You can cut this. Like, now that I think about it.
I'm not cutting anything. We're just going to sit here in silence.
All right.
Let the people wait.
Build the anticipation.
You make a great thinker,
God.
man.
It kind of reminds me of just it just kind of God, like I haven't wrote a rhyme since like elementary school.
All right, spoken word poetry.
All right. My name is Derek, and I like to complete the game. If you don't do what I tell you to do, then you're massively lame.
Hey.
There you go.
Sick.
That's the best I can do. That's the extent of my rhyming skills.
With that, it's been a game talk.
Not a lame talk.
Take care.
Not a lame talk.
Yeah.
All right, I stopped, and I have to take I have to go to the bathroom bad. All right, so...
No.
Hey y'all, don't forget to subscribe to them button mappers.